One of the best things that happened to WWE in the last years was the Women's Revolution. Commanded by the four horsewomen, a new addition to the roster was very much needed in the wrestling company. We had Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Becky Lynch. The last one being the one that was held the most for all the time until 2018. Yes, Becky did win the SmackDown Women's Champion, being the first ever champion for the brand, lost against Alexa Bliss in December, and didn't do anything at all until 2018. On the other hand, we had Charlotte, the most important member of the four horsewomen in WWE, having herself already 6 championships in 2018. Only in 3 years she already had 6 titles, being the only one to win the Divas Champion, NXT Champion, and Raw Women's Champion. Actually coming on top in WrestleMania 32, defeating Becky and Sasha Banks to be the first ever Raw Women's Champion. Charlotte lost his title after WrestleMania 34 by being cashed in the Money in the Bank from Carmella, and then went on to be inactive for some months. In the meantime, Becky built herself up to be the main woman in SmackDown Live and was ready for a title match against Carmella at SmackDown. But the Queen returned. That day changed all for WWE. Charlotte won the championship, and we saw how the two best friends, Lynch and Flair, were hugging in the ring, until Becky Lynch snapped, betrayed her friend, beat the living crap out of her, turned heel, and became the man. That was the moment that the ace of WWE in 2019 began, Becky Lynch. Then it was announced that WWE was going to hold the first ever only women pay-per-view of the history of the company, Evolutiion. So it was very clear that we would have a SmackDown title match that day. That's the match we are going to talk about today. Charlotte Flair against Becky Lynch, last woman standing in the first ever only women pay-per-view for WWE. Let's get on with today's video. I already explained something of the background in the match. Basically, the story was Becky being tired of Charlotte over getting the opportunities, stealing her opportunity at SummerSlam, coming up champion in SummerSlam when he watched Becky's match, and she was tired, like, this is not a friend, you're stealing my chances. So Becky was basically sick of her, betrayed her, and said, no, I'm no longer the same Becky Lynch. I am different one, and I want to be the face of the company. Becky got her title match at Hell in a Cell, defeated Charlotte, winning her second SmackDown Women's Champion and actually her second title in WWE. Then defended the title at Super Showdown, ending in a DQ. And now we get to the Evolution match. Let's start by saying that this was the first ever last woman standing match in WWE history. Actually, there's not been a second match to this day, so this is the only last woman standing match in WWE. Something that is very clear by watching this match is that Becky was really over, and we have to remember that she was a heel. The crowd was behind her, they wanted her to win, and they didn't want Charlotte to get another title. But what was the explanation behind that? Something that has been controversial in WWE when they have this big superstar, this big wrestler, this amazing wrestler, the number one, there is something called overbooking. It happened with John Cena, it happened with Triple H, it happened with Randy Orton, and it happened with Charlotte Flair. Already in 2018, she already had 7 titles. 3 years, 7 titles. That's incredible. That's just too much. while people like Becky, Alexa, Nia Jax, and many other wrestlers that were in the roster weren't getting their opportunities. Becky herself only had one reign to this day, well, already two in Evolution. So, like, if you had Charlotte winning, it will be her 8th reign ending Becky's 2nd, and people didn't want that. So, even if Becky was heel, they were over with the Irish wrestler. And something really amazing about this match is that Becky transformed that hate from the crowd to her attitude against Charlotte. She was sick, she was done, she didn't want anything to do with her friends. So you can see in the match her ruthless attitude. She has no respect at all for Flair, even making fun of her signs, of her movements, of her moves. So it's really amazing the story between these two, this respect and this. Let's put an end to the queen over pushing herself just because of her last name. As we all know, Charlotte is the daughter of Ric Flair, possibly one of the top 10 wrestlers of all time. Of course, these type of matches are not DQ. What will be the fun about it if there's DQ involved? So basically, Becky grabbed a couple of chairs and began to beat the crap out of Charlotte. And you can hear how the crowd is chanting, "You deserve it, you deserve it," to the queen. They wanted really Becky to win this match. Like, there's something that makes a wrestler special, and that's when you are over with the crowd, even if you are a heel. And Becky was over with the crowd being a heel. Amazing. The first spot in this match is when Charlotte does a back suplex to Becky on multiple chairs that were on the ring. Before the two women began to throw chairs inside of the ring, they were like, I don't know, maybe 10, 15, and Charlotte did a back suplex on Becky that looked brutal. But Becky didn't back down. Minutes later, she did a urinagi towards the chairs that was amazing. Her ruthless attitude in the match was for me the key point of the story and the match itself. We all know Charlotte is one of the best at doing aerial moves, and of course she needed to do in this match, in this pay-per-view, a moonsault and a swanton bomb through a table against Becky. That was amazing. She has this technique of doing that moonsault like nobody can do. She already showed at WrestleMania 32 before this match, and now in Evolution that was perfectly done. The table didn't break, but then she made it up with a swanton bomb, breaking the table this time. We already talked about chairs. Well, there wasn't only chairs in this match, and there were also ladders. There was not a ladder match, it was just a last woman standing, but ladders were there. And of course, it was used against your opponent. Becky did a body slam against the ladder that sounds like a hell of pain. That must have been Charlotte's scream of agony as she was being thrown against the steel. Amazing. Like I said before, that ruthless aggression attitude from Becky Lynch is what I need to see in every match from her. More ladders being involved in this match. It was time for Charlotte to use them. She didn't do a move on the ladder, she actually did a submission of the ladder. For me, the best spot in the match is back home. Next, we have in the outside of the ring, there's Becky and there's Charlotte. Becky knocks out Charlotte, puts her on the announce table, the German announce table. She climbs to the ladder and then jumps, doing a double leg drop in the table. But what it comes next is just better. You can see Becky being desperate about this. She can keep her enemy down. Her former best friend won't stay down and won't let her retain the title. So she just grabs chairs, announce chairs, kendos, tables, everything she has on her power, and literally buries Charlotte alive under those. The count begins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. At the 8th second, you can see how Charlotte is coming back to life from being buried under those objects. 9, and then Becky thinks she's won the match, but Charlotte literally just stands there looking at Becky like, you haven't killed me yet. That was pure storytelling at its best. I love expressions in the match. I love seeing the wrestlers get into the story, get into the match, like if they were movie actors. I love that. Becky looking at Charlotte like, what do I even have to do to get you off from your feet? And Charlotte being like, you need to kill me. That was amazing. Then Charlotte began to go crazy on Becky. She grabbed the candlestick and began to hit Becky all over her body once again, until we get now to the final spot of the match. Now Charlotte has Becky knocked down. She climbs to the top rope, attempts to do a moonsault. Becky gets up quickly, punches Charlotte in the back. She got by the count of 10. Becky Lynch won the match. I said everything I like about the match. Now there's something that I didn't like about the match. It was before the burying alive spot. Becky grabbed her title and basically wanted to leave the match. And I don't consider this to be Becky's fault. I consider this to be WWE's fault. Honestly, WWE has lost its touch to book heels. Like even Roman Reigns right now, they just can't. For them, heels need to shit. For them, heel needs to be like they can win clean. They need something else to win, and I just don't like that. I miss the Chris Jericho days. Chris Jericho used to that a lot, but no, just it happened with Becky. I think it was only the bad thing about this match. The rest, I think it was really really good. It was an amazing match. For me, the most important thing about the match is that, first of all, it felt like WWE was listening to the crowd, to the public, to their fans. Like, we are sick of the overbooking. Give Becky a push, and that happened. And she didn't just get pushed, she was the ace. 2018 ended with Becky losing her SmackDown Women's Champion. Then 2019, those 4 months of 2019 for Becky Lynch were possibly one of the best months that any wrestler ever had in our history of WWE. Like winning the Royal Rumble, then beginning a rivalry with Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair to be the main event of WrestleMania, the first ever women's main event in WrestleMania. It wasn't Brock Lesnar against Rollins, it wasn't Daniel Bryan against Kofi Kingston, it was Becky Lynch against Ronda Rousey against Charlotte Flair. That was the main event. They deserved it. Yes, they did. And all of that of Becky being the man, being the ace, being the face of WWE began with this match, with Evolutiion. Yes, you can say she turned heel in SummerSlam after attacking Charlotte, but the key point, for me the best point of that story is this. It's Evolutiion, Becky winning, doing for me a 5-star match, the only 5-star match I have for WWE Women's. I do have some others for women's in other companies like Tony versus Io in Stardom and Tessa against Mercedes in I forgot how the company was named, but it's an Iron Woman match. But what I mean is that without this match, there's no the main Becky Lynch, there's no WrestleMania main event at 35. There is no triple threat. There's not Becky to belts. There's not so many other things that come up by next. Even like Sasha against Bianca Belair main event in WrestleMania Night 1. Like without this match, without this pay-per-view, that doesn't exist. So the importance of this match for the history of women's wrestling is at its peak. It's the pinnacle. Honestly, you won't find out there in WWE a more important match than this. Not even Sasha against Bayley at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. For me, this is the most important match in WWE Women's history. It's the best. It's one of my favorite matches. Might be top 5, top 10. I don't know. I have to still make that list. So, yeah, 5 stars for this match. What is your thoughts on the match? Do you think it's also a 5-star, or how would you rate it? Also, a controversial question. Should WWE do Women's Evolution every year? For me, they should. It was a killer of a pay-per-view. It gets to showcase many women that cannot compete in some other pay-per-views, and it's like a payoff for many years that WWE held back the women's division. So yeah, that's all with today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe if you are not and share it with your friends. Bye bye.